I'm glad to see all the people in the room. You are on mute as you join, and I'd ask that you stay on mute throughout the presentation. In terms of questions, if you have a question, you can put it in the chat box, and I'll monitor the chat box to make sure that we're capturing those questions, and we'll answer them at the end. Also, if you have questions at the end when we open up the question and answer period, you can raise your hand and we'll make sure we get to you. If you're not familiar with how to raise your hand, that feature, if you open up the black toolbar at the bottom, you'll see a button that says participants. If you go there, you'll see your name and you'll have the ability to raise your hand and use one of those features there. I'm going to hand things off to Patricia Dimmick, who is the chair of the event of CLT, to make some opening remarks. Patricia?
Good morning. Excuse me. Not a great way to start. Good morning and welcome everyone to the first session, the kickoff for our club leadership training, CLT, which has now been fondly nicknamed CLT Plan B. My name is Patricia Dimmick. I'm a member of Rotary Burlington Lakeshore and of the District Training Committee. I'm chair of this event. We all hope that you access many of the online sessions that we are providing in the next weeks. The Training Committee trusts that your board and committee members, in fact, all of your members, will be well equipped for their roles and responsibilities. And as a result of that, everyone's club experiences will be enhanced. I acknowledge that we are missing the atmosphere and fellowship that we would usually have in a conference setting. It has been a challenging time in many ways, but happily, here we are, resilient Rotarians, and we are in this together. We are so glad to have arrived at this Plan B and all that it includes. Your District Training Committee has put together a great series of speakers and topics for you. We have been blessed by the amazing we have been blessed by the amazing AV support of Darren Sweeney, Clarence Haverson, and Omid Dean, without whom these Zoom sessions would not be happening. Our valiant Director of Training, Sandy Amani, who you just met, has given her strong support in every direction. And I'm so grateful to all of this team for their tireless and creative efforts to switch gears to CLT Plan B. Very importantly, I take my hat off to the fine presenters who volunteered to create the sessions for each topic that matters to you. They have risen to the challenges and worked hard to convert their content to the Zoom platform. Please remember to thank them for the huge amount of time that they have invested in their presentations. You can go back to the site where you originally registered and view all the sessions as many times as you like. Each session will be recorded and made available from about the beginning of June. Now it is my pleasure and honor to introduce our District Governor Elect Michael Lawrie, who has been a Rotarian for over 30 years. He hails from Rotary Cambridge Sunrise. It has been inspiring to work and plan with Mike in these challenging times. Like the rest of us, he has adapted his plans around the current situation and done it well. His commitment, wisdom, and kindness make him a great Rotarian who will serve our district superbly in the next year. I am eager to hear about his goals for 2020-21, and I wish him a very successful governor year. Mike?
Thank you, Patricia. Hello and welcome, District 7080. A lovely May morning. I see the snow softly falling outside my door here, but feel warm and cozy inside. I am honored to be given the kickoff position here and to be your governor-elect for next year. I just wanted to tell you a few things about myself. And the one thing is, I am trying to advance my screen. Patricia, I need a bailout here.
Like, just use your down arrow key on your keyboard.
I am.
Oh, okay.
Technology.
We'll get you sorted.
There we go.
There you
Did
go.
you do that or did I?
I think you did.
Okay. Whoops. Technology is always a bit of a challenge. Thank you for this opportunity. And what I hope to cover today is some basic Rotary International information as to our theme for the year, our leadership plan. And as Rotarians, our people of action, I think we need to take that action and convert it to a few things. We don't like to be reaction, but that's necessary with circumstances that have come our way. Proaction, being proactive and seeing changes that might happen and staying ahead of the curve is what we really want to do. I will be outlining my goals and then to speak specifically to the challenges that we are facing given the changing circumstances, what a different world we live in. And I just want to comment that my district governor journey started in about September of 2017 when a member of my club said, they're advertising for district governor, why don't you apply? At first I thought it was a prank or a joke, but I looked into it and said, that would be a fun thing to do. And I have been inspired, mentored, and learned so much from past district governors and past district leaders that I decided it might be a good adventure to jump into. Up on the screen is just a brief summary of who I am and what I've done. Vocationally, I'm a retired family physician, so that kind of directs a bit how I analyze and plan and react and speak. So I know that we all bring our vocation and our particular gifts, and that really enriches Rotary and the programs that we have. The following screens are going to be like the credits that perhaps should be at the end of this presentation, but I think it's important to mention the leaders that we have in our district and the way that we can plan and share and make things happen. The G team, the governor team, and this would be the executive for next year. So Leslie is not the past district governor yet, but come July 1st, she will be. And Leslie has led us with energy, vision, compassion, and has connected so well with all of us in the district and led our team nicely. Leslie, of course, hails from Mississauga, Meadowvale. I will become district governor July 1st. And following me would be Rudy Habesh from Oakville and our co-moderator Sandhya Maini from Burlington North is the district governor nominee. We do have an executive team that I think needs to be mentioned and honored, and they're very active in planning and in making sure that we are reacting to circumstances and serving, as is our motto. Executive Secretary Janet Clark from Palgrave has kindly consented to serve another term. Our Treasurer Tom Manil from Kitchener will be helping direct us with our finances. Community Service Director Norma Gamble from 7080 Passport South. Our Director of Finance, Lawrence Leung from Burlington Central. Our Foundation Chair, Norm Binden from Brampton, and Leslie Barmania will be co-chairing with Norm as she had completed her year as governor. International Service Projects, Roger Mann from Cambridge. I'm just hoping that some of you might silently cheer if you hear someone from your club or cluster, because we have quite a broad representation from our 48 clubs. Our membership chair, Brian Bennett from Tavistock. Public Relations, Dan Dubray, Burlington Lakeshore. Training, Sandhya Maini from Burlington North. Vocational Service, Uta Lindner. There's a spelling error there. She has two N's in her name. I apologize for that. Youth Services, Ed Fowler from Kitchener. And our assistant governors, we have 10 clusters and therefore 10 assistant governors. Some are coming on to serve new terms, others are repeats. And typically our district offices go for 3 years. So representing the Brampton cluster, Claude Armstrong; Burlington, Janet Canavan; Cambridge, Paul Cody; Dufferin, Aaron Caledon; Suzanne Zabinden; Guelph, Darlene Carpenter, and Tracy Curtis will be working with Darlene; Kitchener, Hubert Singh; Mississauga North, Rajiv Rajasinghe; Mississauga South, Betty Jo Parent; North Halton, John Lintack; Oakville, Bent Fink Jensen; and Woodstock, Peter Stam. Thank you to all of you assistant governors that will be helping to run the district in our next Rotary year. Now, every year there's a new theme that comes out. And of course, our theme for this year has been Rotary Connects the World. And the logo bespeaks to 4 individuals that are somewhat different, but have many similarities surrounding the globe. As a medical person, I'm kind of saying, am I looking at chromosomes here? But I know I'm not, because if I was, there should be some Y chromosomes in there, at least an equal number. That's my little boost for women in Rotary. Anyhow, that was the theme for the Rotary year, Rotary Connecting the World. Recall the previous year, it was Be the Inspiration. So we got inspired and we connected, and we were connecting through Rotary International President Mark Maloney from Decatur, Georgia. Mark is a lawyer and quite a gregarious guy, a great storyteller with a wonderful Southern accent. He's a delight to listen to. Coming up in next Rotary year 20-21, our international president is Holger Kanak, and he has his Rotary Club, as Germans often do, have 3 long words in it, and I'm just going to try that. Herzogtum Lauenbrau Mölln, Germany. Holger is a real estate executive and has a infectious laugh, a chronic smile, and wears those characteristic double pince-nez glasses down on the tip of his nose. The theme for this year, and you may have seen this, if not, we'll do a drum roll, but it is Rotary Opens Opportunities. Opportunities come in various sizes and shapes, and sometimes they come as surprises. What we are seeing, I think that is symbolic, is that the 3 colors, of course, the gold and blue represent the typical Rotary colors. The fuchsia represents our new membership type, our new partner, Rotaractors, which greatly expands our capacity and our ability for service, fellowship, and doing good in the world. So those opportunities come in various ways, and this is a vision statement that I'm sure you have heard, and I hope that you have taken to heart and memorized. I think this is as fundamental as the 4-way test. We have seen this statement for, I think this is the 3rd year. So the vision statement says together. So we work together. We're not a bunch of separate silos. We see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. And I think those 3 areas of change could also be reflected by the 3 open doors that are seen in our Rotary Opens opportunity, so that we are making changes that are worldwide, we are impacting things in our community, and we are changing ourselves. We are learning from our fellow Rotarians. We are doing training exercises like this and seeking ways that we can live our motto. Part of that motto, of course, says we do service. And this is something that you, I think, have heard, that when we're undertaking a service project or the Rotary Foundation is looking for opportunities, they tend to fit very nicely into these categories. So these are the areas that we really focus on. And I think each of us would probably have 1 or 2 that we are particularly interested and passionate about. And I know that you can read them as well as I can, but peace and conflict resolution are very vital to the things that we do as Rotary. disease prevention and treatment. And a major part of that is our polio initiative, the End Polio Now, the Polio Plus campaign. And this is an area where I have deep fondness for, deep affection, deep appreciation for the changes that this has impacted. We are now down to fewer than 100 cases per year. We've seen those pictures of Bill Gates holding his fingers up 3 inches apart. We're this close. We have some unique obstacles to overcome, but with the Global Polio Eradication Initiative, with our partners that we are working with, the goal of eradicating polio is very, very real and will happen in a short period of time. It's hard to say whether it will be 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, but the team worldwide and our partners will make this happen. The hotbeds where we still see some polio outbreaks are mainly in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Nigeria has been cleared. There has been some talk in the Philippines, but disease prevention and treatment, of course, goes way beyond polio, and it brings modern medical care and public health prevention to communities that are remote and didn't get that opportunity. Water and sanitation is another huge issue in making this planet healthier, and that's an initiative of Rotary as well. Maternal and child health, basic education and literacy, and the final one is sustainability in economic and community development. Many of our projects in microfinance do focus on that particular area of focus. So we have these 6 areas of focus, but in recent times, this year, perhaps even more, do we need a 7th area of focus? And the environment, climate chaos, climate change, I think is a huge, huge issue for us as citizens of this world. Who thought we'd have snow on May the 9th? Perhaps we could call it climate chaos, but there are various sides of this particular issue. And what we have been doing, I think, is environment is impacting on all of those other areas of focus to some extent. But it would be an interesting table conversation, or even say a debate in a Rotary Club meeting to say, should environment be a separate area of focus or embedded in our other 6? Regardless, it's something that we need to attack. Now, some exciting things have happened this year, and starting in about 2018 to 2019, Toastmasters had been working with our leaders to form a partnership so that we could share our learning programs and our experiences. And Toastmasters is an international organization. Their membership is probably 30 to 40% of what we have worldwide, but they are in just about every community. And we have started on a district level to connect with the Toastmasters in our district. As you know, Toastmasters aren't just people that stand up with a glass of wine and say, cheers to our president and Rotary International. They are people that are experienced presenters and know that you can always grow and get better. And you do that by having critical analysis, people listening carefully and commenting and giving you feedback. So I think that that's a very rich opportunity for us as Rotarians. As Rotarians, we look at ourselves as leaders, and as leaders, we need to be able to convey our ideas, to react to what we see in our speaking audience, and to be able to summarize what we have said, and perhaps more importantly, to summarize what people are saying back to us, and to decide if it's something that needs further study or analysis. But our ability to speak and present well and using our training can only be enhanced by our partnership with Toastmasters. So Leslie Barmania has had our district interacting with our overlapping Toastmasters district And I'm anticipating that we will see some programming changes coming out in the next Rotary year. Now, Rotaract is another partner. As you know, Rotaract was previously a program of Rotary, not a partner, but with their growth and development and strong clubs in so many communities, the time had come for a change and to realize the potential that these people between 18 and 30 bring to their communities, and in working in the past with Rotary clubs, both in service projects and fundraising and fellowship, it's been a very rich opportunity. But Rotaract, by the Council of Legislation of Rotary, are lined up to become what we call a member type in Rotary. So my personal theme as district governor is, I think, looking at our relationships and looking at how we connect the world, but taking care. I like to use that word care, and taking care of ourselves, because if we don't know that we need de-stressing time, that we need proper rest, proper nutrition, healthy relationships, a passion for things in life, and living with hope and optimism, our ability to work cooperatively is also impaired. So we've got to take care of ourselves first and foremost. Got to take care of each other, and each other as Rotarians, as people in our community, and as global citizens. We have an opportunity to reach out and to connect and to make the world a better place. And certainly the final thing that needs taking care of is the planet. That loops back to the environment, and that loops back also to the health of our communities. And I will be making some comments about our pandemic, about COVID, and how it's impacting on our clubs, how it's impacting in our district, in our zones, and in the Rotary brand throughout the world. Back to Rotaract. So in the Council of Legislation, that Rotaract has now become a membership type, as I said, partners, not a program. There was an upper age limit of Rotaract at 30. There has now been removal of that. So the hope is that many Rotaractors, as they pass the age of 30, will look at perhaps joining a Rotary club, or perhaps taking their experiences and expanding what is happening in Rotaract. But there is no longer an upper age limit. The lower age limit is 18, and it might be interesting to see how that might get challenged, but we do have Interact and Early Act programs in our district aiming at high school age children and even into public school aged students. The one thing that is also interesting is previously Rotaract clubs had to have a sponsoring Rotary club. This is no longer necessary. In fact, a Rotaract club can form spontaneously. They don't need a sponsoring Rotary club or Rotaract club. I mentioned about our Toastmasters training becoming accessible to us. And what we are doing to accommodate Rotaractors is that we will not be incorporating a dues schedule for them until the year 2022. And at that time, there will be a low fee expected of Rotaractors, and it will be different for those that are in educational programs as compared to those that are working and finished their education. So part of the spin-off from this is that we will be working hard to have participation from Rotaractors at district and committee levels. So we now have a director of Rotaractors for our district who will be a member of our executive and district council, and we are hoping to get Rotaractors involved at all of the various district committees and our training programs. So taking care, just extending that a little bit, I did mention that strong relationships are essential for a highly functional group, and we do have these core values. And these core values, I think, are integral to how we as Rotarians deal with each other, deal with projects, and deal with our service in the world. At the international conference in Hamburg, these core values were rolled out, and on each of the 5 days, the theme for the day would have a presenter that would take an hour talking about fellowship, an hour talking about integrity, an hour talking about diversity, an hour talking about service opportunities, and an hour devoted to leadership. So please remember that, I think, when we're talking about the values of Rotary and how we translate those skills in our personal skill set and use that to promote our brand and do good in the world. So once again, fellowship, integrity, diversity, service, and leadership. I like the idea of having some guiding principles or some themes, and you can all read those, but I think succession planning is an absolute key one in Rotary or in any healthy organization, so that every committee should have a co-chair or an aspiring chairperson should the current chair not be able to participate or continue, and so that we do have continuity as we go from year to year. This is only good organizational planning, but to make sure that we have things in line. And I think Rotary does that well, and certainly for our presidents and president-elects at the club level, but certainly for the governor level as well. So it's very comforting and reassuring to know that the person that will be becoming governor 2 years hence, Sandhya, is already working with the current governors, having input, impacting, and sort of seeing the theme that we follow, so that we don't kind of jump into a new leader with a completely new agenda and let things lapse that were just starting to flourish. So succession planning is a very important part of who we are. Identifying aspiring leaders is also important. I like to think that Rotarians are all leaders, but we all bring different skill sets to the table, and we can all learn and teach with and from each other. And I think that is another quality of Rotary that says, you bring your skill set, Rotary will help you to become a better leader, and as you do that, you will help Rotary to be better. And I just want to mention, for those of you that are very keen readers, and I believe this was in the November 2018 Rotarian, that a young woman from our district wrote a very long letter that got published that said, why is it that the district governors are all retired dudes with gray hair and not quite over the hill, but they got a lot of miles on them? And that the author of that letter didn't just talk the talk, she walked the walk, and that's our district governor nominee, Sandhya. That was a marvelous letter, and you are living proof that that glass ceiling hopefully doesn't exist. We do have challenges, and there's a particular question that I hope to have that if I don't prompt, but it says, well, we have women presidents and we have women district governors. When will we have a woman who is the Rotary International president? I won't jump into that answer, but I've heard that question asked of our leaders frequently, and it will happen. Another thing that is really, really important is to make all jobs more doable. I checked the dictionary, and I think that hyphen is optional, but if you did it phonetically, doable, I don't know that that's a word, but doable, so that people that are working, people that have families, people that have other activities in their life can still be leaders in Rotary. Once again, you don't have to be an old retired dude to do some of these leadership opportunities. And we, as I mentioned, should be teaching and learning from each other on an ongoing basis. So continuous learning and training is, I think, part of our DNA and very, very important. So those are sort of some ideas and some philosophies that I will carry. And it's not that I'm unique. Our other district governors in the past have certainly identified those things, but again, we need to be deliberate and make them happen. So what's going to happen in my year? Well, it's going to be very different than what I thought it might look like. And gosh, back in August and September, I had started publishing my club visit agenda and had distributed that. I was going to attempt to attend every club in the district at least once, and that would be the official district governor visit, where I'll wear a jacket and bring greetings from the district and cover some of the things that are in this talk. But the official governor visit is still going to be planned. And looking to the future, we're not sure exactly what the future will hold, but I may zoom into meetings and present as I am now. It will be my intention to attend club and cluster events when invited. I'll try not to bomb meetings that I haven't been invited to, but I am a Rotarian, so I think as a Rotarian, I could attend any Rotary meeting I wish, but try not to interrupt or interfere with what's going on. But meetings, galas, service projects, socials, and other things. I love a party, so invite me. I will certainly participate in training, such as this. The PETS training, I think, was a blast this year. We had a lot of fun, and we've got some terrific emerging leaders. We do have dedicated presidents meetings throughout the year so that we can bring in new information, problem solve, and support folks that need some advice and will benefit from what their colleagues have to say. To lead the G team, the G team is really a committee of equals, and we, again, teach and learn a lot from each other with the experience and views that we bring. As your district governor, I, of course, will present our district 7080 at the district zone and Rotary International level. And just recently, in the last few months, I have become far more competent and articulate at calling Evanston and getting people on the phone to answer questions, to help solve problems, and to help us as we negotiate through some troubled waters. I also plan to integrate and promote our new partnerships. That was covered in a previous slide, but I think we can only grow and benefit from this rich partnership opportunity. Now, the unique challenges. Nobody thought that we would be looking at meeting virtually via Zoom, that we would be looking at canceling our planned international conference in Hawaii. I had planned to go to Hawaii and to take an additional trip and do a cruise after that, but those plans came crashing down when international travel and health and public health and government restrictions and advisories said the international travel not advised, and so we will be having some of these meetings virtually. So the government imposed restrictions are our new reality, and what needs to be done to keep us all safe and healthy is very, very important. As far as COVID-19 is concerned, the updates daily come through both in our community, in our province, country, and in the world. Just a devastating, unforeseen, a plague-like disorder, so that our main goals have to be for each other to stay healthy, to follow the guidelines. And I hope you've been noticing that I don't think I've touched my face. My hands have had hand hygiene, but we need to follow those recommendations and not say, Oh, I don't care. I'm going to go out where there's a whole lot of people and party. So we have had a great support, I think, at the district level. Darren Clarence and his team have gone out and taught clubs how to use this Zoom technology. And I think it's really unique because we can get an opportunity to talk and see how people are reacting at our meetings. We have an opportunity to have guest speakers at meetings. They Zoom in. And what has been found, I think, is that it's made it possible for those people that might have had job, travel, or mobility concerns to start attending meetings that they previously could not be part of. So what we have been doing is district training, meetings, and events are now virtual. We need to look at the impact of this on clubs and Rotarians. And the challenges will, I think, unfold that some of our fellow Rotarians will be looking at financial and job insecurity, our impact on club functions and fundraising. And there are a few clubs that are struggling to survive. And as district, we need to be able to encourage and look for ways to support them so that they can still be a viable force in their community and at least survive through to whatever the end of this might be. And all of the smart experts that we have will constantly say, we really don't know what the future holds. We know there will be a second and a third wave. As a physician, the thing that is a bit of concern to me is we don't know how those who recover from COVID are going to carry on with new health concerns. So heart and lung concerns and blood clotting disorders are part of the acute syndrome. As far as our fellow Rotarians are concerned, I only know of one person in our district that got infected with COVID, but made a recovery, and the recovery is continuing. I am not giving any further hints because people have a right to their privacy and personal information, but it does impact us all. We have made the decision that going into the future, our meetings will not be in person. So the club changeover of officers, the changeover of the district governor leadership will be done on Zoom. Our district conference, I think, deserves some attention because initially our district conference was scheduled for May 30th, 3 weeks from today. With all of the pandemic information and with the legislated restrictions on people gathering, that date had been changed to October the 3rd. And as we are still 5 months out, the conference is still tentatively scheduled, but we're doubtful that it will be an in-person conference. We will try to do something on Zoom. And so this impacts on the leadership for next year, on my year as district governor, because if we did have a district conference in October, it would be a debatable benefit whether we would have a second district conference in May or June of 2021. So at any rate, we are still targeting that date with updates, and I think the advice is stay tuned. So our new reality in restricting in-person meetings and other gatherings is that we need to be communicating differently. And I think perhaps one slight silver lining to this is clubs now have adopted and learned a whole lot more about virtual meeting, about Zoom technology. We obviously will be doing more phone and email connections, and there is the social media opportunities of Facebook and so on. So I look to the future and say, you know what, I didn't sign up for this, but there is an opportunity there. We have strong skills and a passionate group to do something positive, to impact in our communities, in our district, in the world. And I often sign off by saying, take care and good luck. But I like to share this story. Some of you may have heard it. But for part of my medical career, I had a love to do sports medicine and took care of our local junior B hockey team and our figure skating team, which had some international competitors and a few medalists at the world level coming out of our community. And the figure skaters would have a psychologist and a personal coach that would help to get positive imagery in their head and get them out there doing things. And they had a response when you said good luck to them. They would look at you with a kind of, yeah, right, expression. What do you mean by that? You know, this isn't a lottery. And they would say, well, we don't really believe in what you mean by luck. We believe that what most people talk about luck is the combination of preparation and opportunity. It's that sweet spot where we're prepared to do something and we get the opportunity to do it. And I think that's a good analogy for us as Rotarians, that we have trained as leaders. We have a strong emphasis and passion for doing service, and the opportunities are there now for us to go and have an impact. And that comes right back around to Rotary Opens opportunities. The opportunities are out there for us. Holger Kanak, that is where he announced the theme for this Rotary year at the International Assembly. And one of the, I guess, perks that the district governor gets is to go to the International Assembly, where the 530 district governors from around the world get together, get to meet the international leaders, the international president, and again, teach and learn from each other as we prepare for the year that lies ahead. So we go into the future with a lantern that doesn't illuminate too far ahead of us, but knowing that as we travel along together, we can accomplish great things, we can stay safe, and we can keep moving ahead. So my two last words are thank you, Danke. You can say it in many different languages, but I thank you as Rotarians for being leaders coming up for the year ahead, which will have challenges, but those challenges in Rotarian parlance means opportunities. So thank you, and back to you, moderator Sandhya.
Thanks, Mike. Mike, thank you very much for your words. I did not see any questions in the chat, but I just wanted to let you know there was some very vibrant discussion around the theme, your personal theme for your year in the district in terms of taking care of one another. There was also a lot of conversation around the environment potentially being another area of focus in the future. So you definitely sparked some thought in a number of members' heads. I do see a checkbox under Alberto's name. So Alberto, I'm going to unmute you if you have a question. I'm not sure if you were using that feature to raise your hand. So just give me one moment. Alberto? I'm going to guess that Alberto doesn't have a question since he's not there. The joys of Zoom. Folks, if you do have a question, I'll still be looking at the chat box, so please put it in there. A couple of comments. I know a number of you have been asking if you can obtain Mike's slide presentation. I know it's spectacular. There's some great content in there. Just as a reminder, the recording will be available. We'll get it up as soon as we can, and it will definitely, though, be available by the end of June. And we'll have a conversation with Mike for sure about if he's comfortable sharing some of his content. I do see a couple of hands coming up, so I'm going to pause my remarks to go over to some questions. So, Doug, I'm going to unmute you and allow you to ask your question. Unmute. Doug, do you want to unmute yourself?
Hi, Mike, you mentioned the relationship. Mike, you mentioned the relationship, obviously, with Rotaract and Toastmasters. I'm wondering if you could give us any update on our relationship or the partnership with Habito, but we haven't seemed to have any movement that I've seen locally in Ontario. And when we talk to our Habitat people, they don't seem to know much about it either. So have you heard anything, or are we doing any work in that relationship?
Sadly, I don't have an update on that, Doug. I had heard that it was being introduced, but again, we really, I guess, need to identify a champion and get our two organizations sitting down to see just what that affiliation is going to look like. So a very good point, but I have nothing to update at this point.
Great. Thanks, Mike. I'm going to unmute Nagwa and allow you to ask your question. Go ahead, Nagwa.
Yes, thanks, Mike. It's lovely to hear you. My question is about the Toastmasters. As you mentioned, Toastmasters is going to form a partnership with Rotary. As I'm thinking about the Rotaractors, the ones who are in the Rotaract clubs, do we have actually, as a Rotarian, ability to connect the Rotaract with the Toastmasters? As you said, it is a kind of a good training. I was sometimes a Toastmaster, and I feel that the Rotaract club's members will benefit a lot if they have the ability through the Rotary to join the Toastmasters. Do you have any kind of enlightening for the Rotaract members about this kind of abilities to be also Toastmasters? Should they pay the full dues, or should they be a kind of a type of a member in a Toastmaster, as we do with the Rotaract in the Rotary, another type of Rotary? Do you have kind of explanation to this area?
Thank you, Nagwa. The very good questions. And I think that we do not have the logistics worked out. What we would encourage, however, is at the local level, some interaction and some club visits. So for example, I think it would be very appropriate to have the head of the local Toastmasters as a guest speaker at a Rotary Club meeting. And I think it would be quite permissible to attend as a guest at Toastmasters. But the absolute logistics not yet worked out. As you know, Toastmasters have these various levels of expertise. I kind of say it's like the colored belts in karate, that you can advance up the skill set and the certification. I have a story about a patient in my practice who had a terrible stutter and was highly intelligent and able to do things well, but the stuttering was an issue. And he went to Toastmasters, and he was able to give a presentation of very high quality that was narrated beautifully without a stutter. I kind of say it's like the difference between singing and speaking impromptu, so that when he had that programmed in his mind, he was able to speak very well. At any rate, that's just an endorsement, I think, for Toastmasters. And no, we haven't really worked out how the money goes or what is going on. But I think friendly visits between Toastmasters and Rotary at the local and club level are encouraged. That should start with perhaps a president-to-president communication. But this isn't mandated down through district. This is saying those opportunities are there. The international and local leaders are saying, let's get together and let's find something that is going to work and be of mutual benefit, following the four-way test.
Great, thanks, Mike. Couple of other people have some questions. So I'm going to unmute Aldo and allow him to ask his question. Aldo, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I know that you brought up the name Alberto Guerra. I see that he's sitting down again now. I'd like to welcome Alberto. He is the president of Rotary Club of Gualan in Guatemala. So I hope the weather is much better over there, Alberto, and welcome to our Zoom meeting.
Thanks, Aldo.
Thanks, Aldo.
Mike, I'm going to ask you to answer a couple of questions that have been coming through chat. So one of them is whether you could speak to the Youth Exchange program and what we're doing for youth now that that program is, I would say, temporarily suspended just because of what's happening around us.
Well, that is an area of ongoing monitoring and concern. Obviously, our first and foremost objectives are to keep those involved with the program safe and protected and not at any risk. Coming down from Rotary International is encouragement to look at doing shorter exchanges and to connecting with districts and areas where a person-to-person exchange can happen. We are comfortable that I think we still have 5 people that are out on exchange. 2 had returned home, but they had deemed by consultation with the host parents, with the biologic parents, and with the 2 Rotary districts and Rotary Club that the people are safe and chose to stay. Translation and looking at what happens in the next Rotary year is that we have to monitor very closely the global and national and international implications of traveling, because even though the origin and destination, be it coming home or going out, might be safe, the traveling could be quite risky. So things are on a temporary suspension with ongoing review as to how we look at that. But RI is encouraging us to look at shorter, smaller exchanges.
Great, thank you. I know we have a couple of hands raised and there's a couple more questions. I'm not sure that we're going to get to them all, but I'm going to unmute Leslie Barmania, District Governor Leslie, to ask her question.
Actually, it was a response to Doug's question about habitat.
Oh,
so
brilliant.
Just very quickly, I did contact Habitat on behalf of the G team in March. They closed because of COVID-19 and said they would get back in touch with us once we were over this period. So yes, we've been in touch.
Great, thanks, Leslie. All right, handful more questions here. So there was a question around inviting Rotaractors to be members of our clubs at a reduced membership rate. I'm actually going to suggest that that question gets asked at our membership seminar, which is coming up at in the next few weeks. But I am going to put over the other question to Mike, which is, now that Rotaract is independent, will they be viewed as a youth young Rotary club?
I think, as with Rotary clubs, each club establishes its identity. So demographically, they're going to be younger than your typical Rotary club. But as far as the projects and the causes they wish to identify with, that's autonomous. So I don't think I would stereotype and say, they're probably more concerned about learning, skills development, and projects in the community rather than internationally. I'm hoping that they can be creative and find a group focus that will be unique for each Rotaract club, just as we have something like that in our Rotary clubs.
Thanks, Mike. Judy, I'm going to unmute you, and hopefully your question is brief, and we'll close with a couple of your question and a couple of remarks from me.
Okay.
Go ahead, Judy.
My name is Judy Gast. I'm from Mississauga West, and this is more of a comment than a question. My daughter is currently in Taiwan on a Rotary Youth Exchange, and there was quite a bit of extensive conversation between the Taiwanese Rotary Club and us, and I feel completely 100% confident that Rotary is taking care of her, and she is in the best place possible right now during this pandemic. So I just want to, it's more of a thank you than anything else. My daughter is having an absolutely incredible experience thanks to Rotary. That's it. I just wanted to say that.
If I may, Sandhya, Judy, thank you for those comments, because we work very, very hard to make it a life-changing, rich, positive experience. And it's wonderful to hear that. And I think many Rotarians say, this is our center point, our prize project of which we are most proud of, that it is amazing that potential and transformation that happens to these young people that get into that program. So happy that your daughter is having a great experience, and thank you for sharing that.
Thanks, Judy. All right, folks. A couple of reminders. In a very short 2 minutes is the PR session. So if you have not registered, but now you're keen to go, you still can. Please go to the district website down the left-hand column. So this is the 7080 district website. Down the left-hand column, you'll see the link to register for the next session, and that starts at 10:30. Mike, I want to thank you again. I also want to extend a big thank you to the training committee, as well as Patricia and Darren, Omid, and Clarence, who really made this online session happen. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We turned that around in short order. A big thank you to all 107 of you who joined, some of those from District 7090. We're glad to be able to offer this online and have friends from other areas join us from abroad and from just around the corner. So thank you all for being here. Please go visit the site. If there are sessions you haven't registered for, please go register. And we look forward to seeing you in a very short minute at the PR session. And just as a reminder, that is in a separate meeting room. So you will need to log in again for that one. Thank you all very much. We'll talk to you all soon.
Thanks, Sandhya.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.